Well, joining us to discuss all this is Daily Mail columnist Sarah Vine, making her uncensored debut, long overdue, I might add, especially given how uncensored you are, Ms. Vine. Talk to me contributor Esther Krakow. I'm a socialist author, Grace Blakeley. Do you like being called that?
Of course I do. I'm a proud socialist. You know that. You used to call me Moe Marxist, which was also quite fun.
You just don't sound like you sound like the poshest socialist ever.
Well, yeah, obviously. That's where Moe Marxist comes.
No, I know, I get it. It just
Socialism with class.
Exactly. Thank you, Esther. Do you want to be my agent?
No.
Yeah, you don't want that. You don't want that. You have to deal with Piers all the time.
Let's get to more serious matters, ladies. It's a great panel for this because, Sarah, let's start with you. Luis Rubiales got carried away. He admits it, right? And he's very frank about this in our interview tomorrow. And we go over everything at length. But what followed is now being categorised as sexual assault. Is that what we all witnessed?
Well, I mean, all I can say is I've just seen the same clip that everybody else has seen, which is him sort of overexcited, grabbing her and giving her a big smack on the lips. And I can't say that I didn't think there was an iota of sexualness in that. Sexualness? Sexuality, sexiness, whatever. I don't think it was sexual in any way. He was just very overexcited and just wanted to give her a big kiss on the lips because she'd done so brilliantly. I mean, everybody was kissing everybody. They were kissing the trophy, they were kissing each other. Exactly. There was just a lot of kissing going on. It was quite kissy. I mean, I thought it was a bit vulgar that he grabbed his testicles in front of the Queen.
Yeah,
but then I suppose,
and the Queen's 16-year-old daughter.
Yeah,
and by the way, we discussed that, and he's very, he's very open about how he feels about that, and that may surprise people. But in relation to Jenni Hermoso, right? She is having the best moment of her career. But for the next 3 weeks after that moment of crowning glory of them winning the World Cup, all that anyone has talked about is her being grabbed by the president of her football association with both hands and snogged on the lips. Now, to put it in perspective, if Prince William, who's the president of our football association, if when the Lionesses had won the Euros a couple of years ago, if when that had happened, William had done that to the captain of the Lionesses, I think all hell would have broken loose.
It could be an incentive also for them to do really well and win the football.
If you look like Henry Cavill. But obviously there's a cultural issue here, because if this was the men's team and he as a male manager did that, they would have no problem, because men footballers...
And I asked him that. I asked him about if it had been a men's team, would he have done the same thing? And his answer is really interesting. So it is complicated. It's more nuanced than people think.
It's a cultural issue, exactly. It's how men... It's kind of brought into sexual dynamics and the minefield that it's now is. How it's now brought it to light.
But I think what's happened is this horrible sort of wormy sort of Me Too-y thing has got to her, hasn't it? Because you saw from the bus video, she doesn't seem that upset. They were all sort of shouting.
You don't know what's going on in that context.
You can only look.
They clearly noticed the fact that something had gone wrong because they were chanting "kiss, kiss, kiss."
But
they were obviously like, "This is a bit weird."
It was the equivalent.
Well, she's looking in that video this is on the bus after they've left the stadium as world champions. They're all celebrating and drinking. She's looking actually at a split screen on her phone. One is Iker Casillas, the former Spanish goalkeeper, who had a similar kiss with a woman TV reporter who turned out to be his girlfriend or wife or whatever. And the other half is her being kissed by Rubiales. And they're all laughing and joking and chanting Bezo, Bezo, which is kiss, 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 and then Prezi, Prezi, right? It doesn't, on the face of it, look like they're all in trauma from his assault.
Well, I mean, the point isn't whether or not they've been traumatised, and we can throw around this word trauma as though all sexual assault is supposed to kind of break a human being down to their very core and they're like lying on the ground crying. That's not how sexual assault happens. You know, you experience it in the moment. It's often shocking at first. At first, you maybe don't even process what's going on. You're a bit like, oh, someone's touched me in a strange way, but I don't want to make a fuss about it because I'm on the tube or I'm in a public space or I've just won the Women's World Cup. So you kind of go along, and then eventually someone's like, oh, was that a bit strange? And you're like, yeah, maybe it was a bit weird when that happened to me, actually. Maybe I would have liked that situation to have taken place a bit differently. And I think that's clearly what's happened here. Because ultimately, I just quickly want to say this before we go on. The only thing that mattered after this happened was that he lost the support of his team and he overtook all of the publicity that had happened about this positive event. And that's what really should have been the crux. He should have stepped down for that reason.